Yo, how's it going, everybody? We're back again. Chess.com's YouTube channel. This is a live session for those of you who don't enjoy the death throw ride that is a bullet brawl on Thursday. Today you can enjoy a live session, a slightly slower pace. Of course, the incredibly boring 3-minute, right? Being extremely sarcastic. One thing I've learned is that chess players don't tend to understand sarcasm, as well as maybe other groups, social groups, so I always have to clarify when I'm making a joke. In any case, this is a Najdorf Sicilian. I also play a dragon often, especially in Blitz, though I don't recommend anybody playing it. You know, don't take the dragon home to meet mom if you're trying to play chess at a high level over the board. But this knight c6 variation on move 7 is sort of a pet line of mine. I've played a lot. e5 is the correct move. It leads to some incredibly sharp positions. I believe there's actually another live session on YouTube currently with the same variation being played. My opponent is transposed into the main line. That can also happen if white chooses to take on c6 immediately, but this is now a little strange. Usually it's not in white's interest to allow the center to be destroyed without having taken on f6 or taken on g5 instead. We'll back up, of course, and take a quick look at it, as we try to do, to keep these things educational and entertaining. But the problem with this position is that black's center, pawn center anyway, is much better than white's. And so as I clarify the tactics, as they say, as the smoke clears, usually black is in pretty good shape to have lots of pressure. Now, here I'm debating between moves like queen h4 check to induce g3, which doesn't look like it does anything, maybe queen to b6, but now he might castle long. I'd like to play bishop g7. If he takes on d6, maybe then I just castle. If he tries to play d7 with a discovery, there's a few different options there. Maybe I can even just take it and sacrifice the exchange. That could be highly interesting, but also rather risky. The other way to play is just to move like bishop to e7 here. Just open up or prepare to castle, develop. But none of those are really that attractive to me right now, to be honest with you. I'm wondering exactly how I should approach this. Okay, this move looks interesting. I'm going to play bishop d7, temporarily looking like I'm giving up the d6 pawn, but I'm opening up the possibility of playing bishop to b5. And maybe he'll play queen e5. That could be a slight issue. But I also have this move queen to b6, which is a double attack on the b2 pawn and the d6 pawn, winning my d6 pawn back. And I will happily take that pawn back. He'll probably trade on d6, so I pre-move captured. Remember, that's always a good thing to do, kids, if you're watching at home. Watching, waiting, judging, learning, as you all are. Now here I have a few different ways to do this. I can even play a simple take on a6 and then play the move rook to a8 and win back my pawn on a2, which I'm going to go for. I'm not exactly sure that I really hold any advantage in this endgame, to be honest with you. He has this outside pass b pawn over here on b2, and that's pretty good for him. But I think my central majority and the potential to expand with my e pawn here is gonna help me a lot. I quickly play king e7 here because I want to play the move rook over to b8. He played c4, taking the chance of getting this double connected passers, and I'm going to go ahead and take that risk that my passers might be better than his. Was it a good risk? I'm actually not sure right now. Too late to procrastinate, as I always like to say, which is sort of ironic in and of itself, right? But anyway, I'm going to hold down the pawns here. I'd like to bring the other rook over to b8. I need to be very careful now that I don't let his pawns get out of control. I think I might have made a mistake in my initial approach. Maybe I should have just taken on c4 and allowed for some sort of normal equality. But I don't know. Not all is said and done yet. I have less than a minute, as you can see now, with our new and improved version here of live sessions. You can see both of our clocks, which should make it a little more exciting for you all. And what I would like to do is find a way to punch the pawns through. How exactly do that? One other way to do it is play rook e3. If takes, rook moves f5 and then f4. That's interesting, right? I wonder if I can get away with that. Sort of a big risk because I'm taking away my double connected passers, but then again, he also seemed to have successfully blockaded them. And so because he had successfully blockaded them, I decided that I needed to maybe change up the tempo of what was happening here. I'm going to free up the f5 square for the bishop. e4 was also possible, maybe actually better. I'm not sure, in fact. After that move, I am feeling that e4 might have been better. But this position is still a total nut job, and I have 36 seconds. He has 50 seconds, which is maybe the real issue here, is the time problem I'm facing. I need to find a way to dislodge the bishop on e4, actually. That's also an issue. Bring my bishop back. If he plays c5, I'll play bishop b5 check. And, okay, he plays b5, which was probably much better, actually, than the idea of playing c5. So I'm avoiding him playing c5 with check, because if he plays c5 now, I can take on b5. But this is not looking super hot for me right now. I'm not going to lie. I'm not happy with this position at all. And my time is also not happy. Nobody's happy right now. Nobody is happy in Happy Town right now as far as my position goes. Not going to lie about that. And I'm hoping to get some sort of trick here at some point. Also with time, maybe getting some sort of chance. If he comes down to a8, oh, I thought I might have a chance to give check and come in, but I don't think that's going to happen anymore. Don't think that's going to happen anymore. I'm pre-moving, and then pre-moving back, and hoping for some sort of trick here. If he falls back to e1, okay, he wants to take a draw. I will be happy to do that. Okay, he checkmated himself. Wow, what an ending to this situation. He played extremely well and then walked into a checkmate. That was incredibly lucky, and you can see even the time. My only chance at this point, and if he had played the accurate move, which is obviously king to e1, king f1 simply allows perpetual, as I was happy to take. You see that I can't actually come over and guard the b pawn because it doesn't do anything. He can simply push that pawn and queen, given that it already has protection by the rook. So after check, his only move was to play the move king to e1 instead, and now my position is lost, but getting down to being roughly even on time here with 10 seconds to 12 seconds and believing in my abilities to outblitz somebody, maybe I would have had a chance. My only chance now, if he had played that move with 10 seconds, I might have just taken here. I wouldn't have gone for sacrificing the rook. I would have tried to take my chances with keeping it on the board, letting him get a queen, and potentially either checking here and seeing if he repeats again, or maybe walks into the checkmate again with rook f2, you know, something like this. Under time pressure, he might have once again, or if he runs, as he should, something like running this way, maybe I push a pawn and make him try to checkmate my king in the middle of the board. You'd be surprised sometimes under time pressure how tricky these can be. You know, he gives a check and you move, and accurate moves like something like this, which would allow me to take and then skewer me, like, are very hard to find with less than 10 seconds. People often just play the obvious checks, and if you don't have an obvious check, then that's hard to do. So, you know, who knows? I might have been able to flag him, but the bottom line is I somehow swindled my way to this victory. But let's back up and learn something, and I'll be happy to gain those rating points that I did. But let's take a look at what happened in the game. We had a Sicilian, as I said, a Najdorf Sicilian, and the Dragon Sicilian with g6, also a popular weapon here in the Blitz chess festivals that we have here about once every couple weeks, known as live sessions. And the bishop g5 is the main line Najdorf, so this position has actually been played before. And after h6 and g5, typically in this variation, I also have the option of potentially just taking on e5. And after knight takes c6, it's pretty complicated theory. But g5 is kind of a messy move, and I believe the best thing for him to do is actually just to take on g5 immediately. Without going into all the theory, you can look up this position if you have any access to a database, or if you have a Chess.com account, we have the free Openings Explorer tool. But it's a mess, we'll say that. So it's a very popular weapon, especially in Blitz, and bishop g3 is definitely a mistake. White wants to take on g5 here, and I play the move knight to d5, which opens up a pin on the pawn to the queen, and the position is kind of a mess. But here, I'm kind of getting the best of all the worlds in the sense that I've destroyed white's center and not really taken any big risk, meaning my king is not in any danger here. So after c3, rook b8, I think what I did was interesting. I'm not sure. Maybe even rook b8 is a little bit sloppy. You know, something like bishop to g7 immediately, and if he takes and I castle, now there's no d7 discovery on my rook, might be totally worth it. In fact, one question is, how is he stopping e5? You know, even a move like queen e2 doesn't stop it, because if e5, everybody gets chopped. In the end, we have a pin town population queen-king, right? That's a problem. That's problematic. Holmes. I think that would have been fantastic for me, actually. The more I look at it with this bishop g7 and castles, I think e5 is fantismo. I'm going to win my pawn back and have a very dominant position. This is the kind of thing that can happen in this sharp line if white's not careful. It'll just completely lose his center. So I didn't, though. I played rook b8. He played queen e2, and then we had bishop to... no, I didn't. I played bishop d7. This interesting idea to give up the pawn, and... You know, he took on a2. Probably, in hindsight, the best thing is just to keep the queens on the board, because it's not exactly clear what he's doing with his king. For example, even a simple move like queen c5, he has no way to offer a queen trade. I'm permanently preventing him from castling. You can't castle into check if you're keeping score at home. And so black has clear compensation for the pawn here. This is a trouble position. But I can't really, say that what I did was really bad either. I think just in this position here, maybe I got a little greedy with this move d4. Maybe I should just take and back up and try to isolate, or as they say, corral this lost calf over here, this lone pawn. And black is okay. Probably the position should be a draw with best play, but in blitz that might have been the unbiasedly best thing for me to do. Instead, I played this move d4, and we headed down that really, really sharp position. He played this move rook here, e5, rook e1, f6. I played this move here that was interesting. Here, back. I played rook e3. Maybe there's a better way for me to go and corral these pawns. I didn't really consider something like this. That might have been better. But I played rook e3, and after takes, rook over, f5 here. Why didn't I just play e4? Kick the bishop and then f4. Now this is a little bit more to my liking here. This pawn mass is a little bit more flexible. After f4, he plays this move bishop e4, and I think I'm just lost here. This was a horrible move. This move f4. Whenever you're advancing past pawns, little tip for the wise. Typically, if you can try to advance them on the same color as the bishop, the same color as this light squared bishop, it's much harder for them to set up a blockade. This is a positional mistake to play the move f4 and allow him to blockade on the light squares, and my pawns are completely stuck. You see, that's called a color complex right there. So, a little piece of advice. I did manage to eventually make a breakthrough, mainly because of time. My opponent was much better here. I don't even know what I was doing. I thought I could. I thought I could blockade the pawns, but I really couldn't, and I should have lost. He advanced the pawns, but as we know, as we got under time pressure here, he eventually blew it. So and allowed himself to be checkmated. All right, well, this was a lot of fun and a much slower paced version compared to the bullet brawls, with of course the post game review that keeps everybody happy, make them feel like they did learn something here and didn't just waste 10 minutes of their life. But if you want to go waste more time in your life, you can also back up and see one of the previous live sessions we just did. I believe there was another game in this line, so you can see another example of black playing this variation if you are interested. So good luck, everybody.